All right, welcome back to the program, and it's Good Morning Nigeria. This is your morning tonic on the network service of the NTA. Thanks for staying with us. So let's begin our conversation, but first, let's take a background report from our correspondent Ibrahim Dan Amidu.
Deputy governors in Nigeria are elected alongside the governor and serve as the second in command in each state. While the governor is the head of the executive branch, the deputy governor plays a crucial role in supporting and assisting the governor in the administration of the state. Political analysts affirm that deputy governors act as a bridge between the governor and the people. They are responsible for representing the governor in official functions, as well as overseeing specific portfolios or projects assigned to them by the governor. In addition to their administrative duties, deputy governors also serve as a check and balance on the governor's power. They have the authority to act as an acting governor in the absence of the governor, ensuring continuity and stability in governance. Furthermore, a deputy governor's role in a democracy is a partnership with the governor to deliver on the promises made to the people. It is a position of trust and responsibility taken very seriously, as the governor and deputy governor of a state are under oath. Despite their importance, deputy governors in Nigeria often face challenges in carrying out their duties. Some have alleged being sidelined, marginalized, and even diminished to a stooge by some governors, leading to tensions within the state government. Civil society activists in the country believe a strong partnership between a governor and his deputy is essential for good governance and accountability, plus the success and future of a state. As Nigeria continues on its democratic journey, guests on Good Morning Nigeria will talk through the role of deputy governors as they remain a key component in ensuring effective and transparent governance. The guests will also assess their vital place in democracy and why the contributions of deputy governors in a democracy should not be overlooked.
All right, Ibrahim and Hamidu, thank you very much for that background report. And already seated here with us in the studio is Dr. Nkem Okeke, immediate past Deputy Governor of Anambra State. We welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yes, all right. Just to also say we're expecting one other guest. But before that, we have Chief Michael Ajayi, who is a public/political affairs analyst, and we're glad to have you here with us this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you for the invitation.
Yes, all right. So I would start by asking, from all the conversations we've had and everything that we all know, whether the Constitution already provided that a governor or a chief executive has the prerogative of transmitting power to whoever he deems capable. So, taken from that, do we really need the position of the deputy governor? Let me start with.
Yes, I think we do. Of course, we borrowed a constitution of the United States. That's what they brought to Nigeria, and that's what we're practicing. In U.S., they're called lieutenant governors. The job of a lieutenant governor, a deputy governor, is, in the absence of the governor, there's somebody to act. If the governor is unavailable for a function, the deputy governor can go and act in the governor's place. Of course, the governor has the prerogative to send anybody, even the secretary to the state government, commissioner to represent him. But the idea is, if anything happens to the governor at all, maybe his demise, somebody will now step into his place to be able to take over the reins of administration or the reins of government. That's the role of a deputy governor. Now, the problem arises in, because some people are saying there's something wrong with the Constitution. I don't think there's any problem with our Constitution. I think the problem we have is individuals, governors that are not quite sure of themselves and listen to a lot of gossip. Because once a governor is sworn in, people get to surround him and come up with all sorts of stories about a deputy governor, trying to do this, trying to do that. And that creates that friction between the two. And instead of governor now ceding powers or giving authority to deputy governor to do certain acts or projects, he stops from doing that. He steps down maybe to the SSD, the chief of staff, or any of his commissioners. But it's to me, there's only one red pen. In any administration, there's only one red pen, and the governor holds on to that.
So that position has been enabled by the nature of the system of government we run.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And just before we go on, let's also introduce Dr. Mainasara Kogo Umar, who is a constitutional lawyer and international analyst on democracy and nation building. Did I add, Doctor?
It's always
Perhaps
an
it's in
honor
view.
to contribute
Welcome
to
to
nation
Good Morning
building. Thank you.
Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, let me ask Chief Michael Ajayi, what do you make of the place of a deputy governor in Nigeria's democracy, and what should it be?
Well, the deputy governor himself had already
Former deputy governor.
former deputy governor had already stated this, answered your question, but I will re-emphasize again or reiterate. The deputy governor in any state is the second citizen in that state. He is a deputy senior prefect in that administration. But unfortunately, if you look at section 193 and of the 1999 constitution, it didn't really come out with some strategic and specific rules for deputy governors. The section 193 says that the governor shall use his discretion in assigning responsibilities to the deputy governor and the commissioners. The position of the deputy governor shouldn't be lumped with commissioners. It should be specific, like the U.S. Constitution. You state these are the functions of the state governor, deputy state governors. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, it has never been the case. If the Constitution lumps the commissioners and the deputy governors, of course you have reduced his status, because the Constitution never lumped that of the governor with commissioners and so on and so forth. So in Nigeria, you now find a situation whereby he invites them to meetings, assign them social functions, and so on and so forth. Menial jobs, just to say, okay, I'm giving the boys some functions to make them busy. So in the case of Nigeria, it has not been rosy when it comes to the role of deputy governors. This constitution has not adequately taken care of them. And political analysts have tried to see how they can secure roles for the deputy governors. And for me, again, I still laugh. Okay, specifically, if you even state the function of the deputy governors, it is the governor that will determine how effective that deputy governor will be. He's the one that breathes oxygen into the deputy governor. So if he doesn't give the breathe oxygen into the deputy governor, he will not perform. And what I mean by oxygen, if you are defining roles of deputy governor, it must be backed by finances. The finance, there must be appropriate appropriation to make him function. Now, if you give him roles and maybe there's a frosty relationship, you don't even give him the appropriate money to back up that function. It's as useless as not giving him any roles at all.
Dr. Ajayi, thank you. You've told us, you've just shared with us what your personal views on what it should be.
Yes.
But I'd like to bring in Dr. Mainasara Umar Kogo. Nigeria is not an island unto itself. Nigeria is a country guided by the Constitution, which is our grand norm. We all know what Aristotle talked about the Constitution and how it should, So there's a Constitution that has provided or delineated responsibilities for, every political leader at every level of government. Given the scenario that, we've been experiencing between governors and the deputy governors, do you think that deputy governors under the Constitution, understand their responsibilities and their place?
Yes, there is the dictum of the law and the paradox of the Constitution. When you're talking about the office of the deputy governor, vis-a-vis the office of the governor, Section 186 is explicitly very clear that right from the moment of the candidature of His Excellency the Governor is not complete. It must be complemented with the nomination of his deputy governor. And correspondingly, all the functions of the governor are there ascribed in the Constitution as those functions the deputy governor should assist the governor in implementing. The drafters of the Constitution used the wisdom in order to bring about robust congeniality, good working relationship. And that is specifically the reason why they did not compartmentalize, say, so area relates to the deputy governor, so areas relates to the governor. If you do that, then the absolute quote unquote chief executive of the state will be eroded. The chief executive officer of the state is His Excellency the Governor. And the deputy governor...
Exactly. That section,
yes.
Sorry to interject, that section did not also say that the position of a deputy governor shares the same responsibilities. He is not an executive deputy governor.
Yes, he's not an executive. That is the reason why I use the word assistant. He is to assist, to complement the expertise of His Excellency the Governor in managing the state. Now, in doing that, the deputy governor has to use the instrumentality of politics, maturity, administrative sagacity, and the convenience of the type of the impediments within the environment of the working relationship with the governor to create a niche for himself. So many things happen. You see all these problems between governor and deputy governor. For example, witnessing 17 incidents of quote and unquote impeachments or removals of deputy governors. Mainly is because an average politician in Nigeria doesn't like anything to touch his spirit. What is his spirit? Political interest. An average politician would like his interest to be entrenched and would like to be the omnibus leader who will continue even after his tenure in office, who will determine who will be his successor, and if possible determine even the executions of his successor.
Do you know why I asked this question?
Yes.
Because we've heard and listened to former deputy governors,
yes,
both male and female,
yes,
speak on this issue.
Yes.
And the reason it gives, there can be no better, person to give us the reason why this is so,
yes,
other than those who have been there themselves. And the reason they say is because some deputy governors or former deputy governors, you understand, do not understand their place within the Constitution. And because they do not understand their place within the Constitution, they look for ways or avenues, like you have just indicated, to also, take some power onto themselves. And that is the reason why you have this conflict.
Yes.
So I want to bring in, who also had been there before. Is that the case, that some former deputy governors really do not even, yes, not really understand, don't care about what the Constitution says, about their own responsibilities and, vis-a-vis their relationship with their principals?
Yes, I think so. I mean, if you go in there with a mindset that you're going to control an area, you're going to do this, you'll be able to do this. No, there's only one chief executive, only one. Your job is to assist the chief executive. The problem to me is, if a deputy governor comes in with attitude like, I really want to help, I really want to assist, I really want to put my best, the expectation is that the government will not give that opportunity to the deputy governor to be able to put his best.
Then it becomes a spare tire, so to speak.
Yes, no, you are a spare tire. You are. The point I'm saying is, if you come in with a good attitude and you want to work, the governor now says, yes, work. Then you have a good relationship. Let me give you an example. If you ask me, Obaseki and Shaibu worked very well. Prior to now. It was a good relationship. He ceded a lot of things for him to do, gave him a lot of leeway to be able to perform. And they worked. There are governors in the past that worked well with their deputy governors. But the problem is always listening to stories, listening to gossip. Because I said to my governor once, nobody remembers the deputy governor. It's always the governor's administration. Nobody remembers any deputy governor. For you, the governor, what you need to do is put your best feet forward. Any accolade is yours. Any appreciation is to the governor, not to the deputy governor. So if you try to cage the deputy governor and not allow him to shine, you're frustrating yourself. You're frustrating your administration. You're not making your administration better than it can be. Now,
that appeared to be the case.
Yes. When I went there, I felt I knew my position. I'm a deputy governor.
So you were a spare tire?
Yes.
You were a spare tire?
I was
but that's what the Constitution says. There's no point emphasizing.
No. Hold on.
That's what the Constitution says.
The Constitution that we brought in here.
The Constitution did
it didn't say spare tire, but that's
the
Constitution
literally,
does not assign the role.
The Constitution that we're practicing is the one like I said in the United States.
Yeah.
If you look at the duties of a lieutenant governor, it's the same thing as as a deputy governor in Nigeria. There's no specific, except, okay, well, we do have some roles. We're in charge of a boundary. We're in charge of the pilgrims. That's basically what the Constitution says about the deputy governors, which is nothing. The expectation of a deputy governor is that maybe you'll be given a ministry to supervise, which happens in some states. It didn't happen in mine. I expected that to happen, but it didn't. So life goes on.
And you accepted it.
I accept. You have to. If
so,
you want to
so,
be.
So what was your relationship? Sorry,
Yes.
again, we just have to.
Yes.
What was your relationship like? Between you and since you acted like a spare tire, which means you didn't bring in no intellectual input, no ideas. You just did what he told you.
No, that's not true. Of course, you have ESCO meetings. You contribute your own during those meetings. If the governor calls you for advice, you give. If he doesn't, you don't. The point is this. Every relationship between the governor and deputy is all different. Mine was different. I didn't get the responsibilities that I wanted, but I got others. I went out. I was the one going out to Lagos, Abuja to represent the government functions. Of course, that creates opportunity for you to make contacts, for people to know that you exist. So I liked that. Yes, I didn't have a ministry to supervise. Okay, no problem. But I was able to interact with the federal government agencies, federal government parastatals, ministries, ministers. I was able to do that. Even governors. I was going to NEC meetings, interacting with other governors. So people knew I was as a deputy governor. So I think the problem for me lies more on the governors, not the deputy governors. The governor must believe that there's only one red pen. There's nothing the deputy governor can do to really affect you. You control the resources. You control the House of Assembly. Now, if you cede some ministry to a deputy governor to supervise, he's only supervising.
You still have to report.
You have to report. I mean, I can't spend a dime, a kobo, without his approval. You can't spend a kobo without his approval. It's a situation where it's like a company. There's one chief executive. Now, if you have a good relationship, you get some areas that you are told to be responsible for. But that's it. You can't come in there expecting that.
So it definitely doesn't have any envelope of its own that it could,
Okay, let me say this. Some governors, when they travel out for medical reasons or whatever, or vacation, they transmit power to the deputy governor. Now, when that happens, the deputy governor is supposed to act as a governor. You're supposed to sign documents, you're supposed to sign contracts, whatever comes to your table. I didn't have that opportunity. For the 8 years I worked as a deputy governor, I never acted as a governor. The governor never ceded the power to me.
So who acted in his
He
stead?
didn't see nobody. He was
always working from
where he was. Now,
yes.
I want to just a moment.
That's against the Constitution. Yes.
I know that my reading of the situation is always that it is when it gets towards the transition politics of transition, that's when many deputies fall out completely.
No.
With that, from the experiences, I'm not talking about the Edo alone. You talk about several others, not in all cases.
But it starts gradually and culminates.
I'm trying to ask. I'm
Yes,
trying
with
to
that.
ask if overzealousness can be blamed sometimes for the governors, like Mirasara Kogoma said. The governor doesn't want anything to touch his spirit, and so when he perceives his deputy as being too ambitious, then he has a problem with it. This is my reading of it.
Of course.
Is this the case? I know that informally, deputy governors, meet and share experiences. Do you think that this is the case?
Of course, I guess when you're in politics, the ambition is there to aspire to a higher...
To the top.
Yes. I never did. In all seriousness, I never wanted to be a governor. Politics has not been really what I came out to do. It just happens by accident. I consider myself a professional in politics. I never aspired to be a governor because I don't have the resources to run for it. And I don't want to ask people to give me money and they will have expectations if ever I become the governor. I don't want to be in that position because you find yourself in conflict. What do? How do you please this man or woman that helped you to become a governor? The issue is the system of politics in Nigeria is very difficult because it's okay for a man to aspire. There's nothing wrong with you if you want to be a governor. What I don't seem to understand is why does governors stop their deputies from taking over from them? To me, if somebody served you and served you well, why shouldn't they aspire to take over from you?
Kano has been a shining light in that regard.
Let's put you on hold and extend the conversation now. Chief Michael Ajayi, I'm just wondering where really, Chief Michael Ajayi, sorry. So where do we situate this whole scenario? Is it a constitutional oversight? I don't want to say error or gap. Constitutional oversight, or is it a personality thing?
You see, I will look at it from either two perspectives. I think it's a personality thing. If I say the Constitution, maybe I will not be very correct, because even Shakespeare says the fault is not in our stars but ourselves. Obasanjo also reiterated the same thing. He said there is nothing wrong in the system but the operators of the system. So I will not blame the Constitution as such. It is the issue of personality.
The ego. And he, the former deputy governor, you can see why he escaped impeachment. It's because of his humble mindset, his objective of going to that office, not to contest with the governor. He had no interest in being the governor.
Yes, if it comes, he will accept it.
Yes. But he didn't show.
But he didn't show the interest, and that is why he was left alone. Unlike other ambitious deputy governors. And you can see even the Constitution is very clear. Section 187, very clear. The governor is not validly elected without his deputy governor.
So is it wrong to have an ambition?
There's nothing wrong in having an ambition, but inordinate ambition.
In governance.
Yes.
But in politics.
Yes. Inordinate ambition is not. You must gauge your ambition, and he gauged his ambition.
You must gauge your ambition.
Yes, and curiously, between 1979 and 1983, no single deputy governor was impeached. Curiously. Which one?
Bibi Farouk, Kano.
Okay, Bibi Farouk. But it was not as rampant. It was not as rampant as this. Having 17 of them impeached. Virtually, even in some states, you have 2 of them impeached. So it's, for me, I would say that the crafters of the Constitution, even if you read the book of the chairman of APC, Ganduje, that is Deputizing and Governance in Nigeria, reviewed by Jega, the former...
Because himself also has the same...
issue with Kwankwaso, yes, he has. And up to today...
but he succeeded. Kwankwaso supported him to succeed him.
I doubt it.
No, but he also had...
He had issues. Where did the journey reach? So even up to now, the issue is still burning.
Yes.
So it is the issue has got to do with the personality. And if I were to be a deputy governor, I will go with the mindset that he has to go and serve.
Mind you,
if
a
it
deputy
comes,
governor does not just choose himself.
yes,
He is. He is the choice.
You see, the selection is based on a lot of factors. One of them can be geographical balancing.
Correct.
One of them can be gender balancing. The third one can be, how do I win the second time? Electoral value. Thank you, sir. So those are the factors that will determine the fate of a deputy governor. But in Nigeria, I will advise.
No, don't advise yet. Hold it.
Okay.
All right.
I think, yes.
Thank you, Chief Michael Ajayi.
Yes.
I wanted to, you see, I see it that there is governance.
Yes.
And there is the politics.
Yes.
How finely must a deputy governor thread both lines to ensure success? Of course, I've made example.
Yes.
You could see Kanu has at least a couple or so of governors who supported their deputies to succeed them, and that's there. But how finely should a deputy governor thread to earn this kind of trust, confidence, and then at least in cases where, because you have to consider a lot of things like ethnicity, zoning, and all of that, maybe a governor is unable to support his deputy governor for these purposes. Could just want to make you happy and see reasons why you cannot be governor at this time.
I like your question. It goes with his question.
Yes.
If a deputy has, like you said,
Yes.
political ambition, should he resign?
Okay. Well, first of all, let me start with your own. He shouldn't resign. It is his fundamental right to pursue his interest and ambition. Coming back to his question, I think I want to go back again to something he raised, which I'm interested, and I surely associate myself with that position. Once it is proximate to election time, the deputy governor should be very careful. Act like, quote and unquote, silent fool.
Like a horse taking you across the river.
Silent fool, because if you are the not the silent type, the foolishness can lead you into another trouble. There are three fundamental areas a deputy governor should safeguard if you want to be a successful deputy governor. Number one, don't entrench political structure. That is number one. That is the number one thing the governor and his courtiers will be looking upon.
You would have touched this.
Yes, political structure. Once you are trying to establish a political structure, or you want to penetrate the political structure of the governor, that will be the beginning. The second is close your eyes over the finances of the state.
But sorry,
Money.
Sorry, Doctor. Do we have examples of deputy governors who tried to establish political structure outside the structure, that brought them in? Do we have examples of those?
Of course. If we take the example of Aliu Wamako when he was deputy governor to Atahiru Bafarawa, they were having parallel political structures. And there's something Mutari Shagari too had under the same Wamako too. And the same issue of political structure was what this former deputy governor Gusau had, that landed him in trouble with the current Minister of State for, yes, Matoli. There are many examples you can give.
Okay.
Then the second one is the issue of money, because money is the PMS of the political machinery of every politician. Money. Pretend you are not interested in money.
Yes.
Whatever contract, whatever they do, if they said take and give, kneel down and say hallelujah. If they don't give you, don't even pretend, you don't even show that you are even aware of the cocktail party. Don't even show you are even aware. Then the number 3 thing deputy governor should safeguard if you want to have a successful tenure is that don't be the type that will go and be issuing authorities command. Because the governor always wants to answer that excellency. I remember a friend of mine that I call him, Your Excellency Governor. He refused to answer me because I didn't use the word executive for him. Executive governor. You know, it's just like you call somebody senator. He said, call me distinguished senator. You know, Nigerians with interest in adjectives and titles. So the reason why His Excellency is seeing this thing as a diametrically different scenario with the United States is because of the evolution of the political culture. In the United States, a politician is interested in becoming a statesman. He takes politics as a gospel of service. But an average politician in Nigeria is interested in self-development. You see a politician in Nigeria celebrating himself as the richest person in the state. But in the United States and other countries, how much have you imputed in the trajectory of the political development of the country within the ambience of your period? If you are a distinguished senator, what landmarks legislations have you brought on board? For example, there are so many deputy governors that are distinguished senators. Some members of the National Assembly at the level of the House of Representatives. It is imperative you bring about this kind of thing. There are functions you can give deputy governors that will insulate them and give them peace, and they will perform wonderfully in the interest of the state. For example, if you now decide as governor to give your deputy, say, be the one to be coordinating activities of the local government councils. This emasculation of Section 7 of the Constitution, where all the grants, allocations of local government are ending up in the Ministry of Local Government, which is an appendage of the governor's office, will not be there. And there will be robust entrenchment of development at the local government level. He will be busy there while governor is busy with his cabinet. And at the federal and international wings of bringing developments for the state. Or the second something is that, ask the deputy governor, coordinate activities of traditional institutions and security. That is another, yes.
Yes, but these are already there.
They are there, but like His Excellency said, if you are not given the directive, the command, if you are not given, like a spare tire cannot just walk on a wheel until it is hoisted.
What you're saying,
yes,
I totally agree with, but it's not the reality.
Yes.
Me, for instance, in the 8 years I was deputy governor.
Yes.
In fact, I'm the first deputy governor to serve 2 terms.
Yes.
No other deputy governor in Anambra has ever served 2 terms. I always have to change.
Yes.
I never put in my local government chairman. I never put in the House of Assembly member representing me.
No, not you to put. I said National Assembly should make amendments.
Hold on, I'm just saying that I should
at least aspire to
be able to put the local government chairman, put the House of Assembly member representing my area, put the commissioner.
That's political structure.
You decided to be the silent fool.
I wasn't able to do any of
You
it.
decided to be the silent fool.
If you are saying that the governor should give up local government to the deputy governor, that's a structure. There's a lot of money involved.
Big structure.
Big structure. That will never happen unless the governor has confidence in who he is. That
I see.
Yes, I am the governor. No matter how much I give you,
or maybe they are from the same political dynasty.
Exactly.
And then if he trusts you,
that's what he must. He must. I was accused of impeachment 3 times in that period of 8 years. One was even before we were sworn in. The governor accused me of impeaching him, and I thought it was a joke. How can I impeach? We haven't been sworn in, and I'm already planning an impeachment. But you see, once you become that quote unquote the governor, the people that surround you become problem.
So how then? I'm sorry, because
Yeah.
we will need to also talk about the impeachment motions for impeachment and transmission of powers. I'm just wondering, how then can a deputy governor, the position or the place of a deputy governor, be made relevant? Because from all you are saying, you were not relevant during your term.
Yes.
You were not
No,
relevant.
I was relevant to some extent. What I'm saying, the one that where it applied to me, of course, traveling to Abuja to represent the governor, government function was making you relevant. You got exposure.
Without contributing your ideas and ideas.
No, you are. If you go to a net
are.
meeting, you're allowed to speak because you are the governor at those meetings.
You know why I said that?
Yes.
Because a former governor, deputy governor, and I mentioned it because he has said it here openly on Good Morning Nigeria.
Yeah.
Dr. Komas. He said he just made a simple statement somewhere at the function that if I will probably do this thing this way, and supporters of the governor went and
you can't do that.
In politics,
You cannot do that.
He heard in
Listen,
politics.
when I speak in any function I go to, be it public, be it private, I don't speak on behalf of the governor. You must accord him. He's like a lord.
Yeah. So you must say the executive governor, my governor, as my governor.
Yes.
For us pressmen, it's monotonous. I mean, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't matter.
But you are representing
You're
him.
representing the governor. No matter what you think or what you say, you're representing the governor. There's only one chief executive. The problem, like I said, is always the governor listening to stories and innuendos. Once you trust, I said to my governor when we started, I said, listen, you don't know me, I don't know you. Extend your hand of friendship. If I misuse it, cut it off. Give me a chance to say that I can, work for you. I can put in my best, for you. If I go against your, tenets, then you try and deal with me. But he can swear on any day that I have never tried to do that. The 3 times he accused me of impeachment, he investigated and he found nothing to the stories. Nothing, absolutely nothing. What for? How many people get the chance to become a deputy governor? How many? It's a privilege to serve. And I was happy serving my state. I was happy serving this country as a deputy governor. I went in there to serve, not to acquire wealth. Wealth for what?
Okay.
You go in there to contribute your own quota to the society, development of the society.
Service.
And that's why I was trying to, that's the point I tried to make when I said there is governance and there is politics. Now, by the time you start setting up structures, you want, local government is a structure, complete structure because it's round the state. That is politics. If it's all about governance, I'm not sure if there will be a lot of crisis between governors and their deputies. Now, Chief Ajayi, would you say that some deputy governors have erred when it comes to walking that fine line between governance and politics?
Well, let me start by saying that every deputy governor is on a slippery terrain. Take note of that. Every deputy governor is on a slippery terrain, such that any mistake is likely to fall. Now, Doctor has mentioned, in fact, you have really spoken my mind, and I want to thank the producers for bringing you to this platform, such that future deputy governors will learn from you. There is need to do a lot of interview with you and produce a book so that they can learn. You don't go into that position to flex muscle. You must limit your ambition to deputy governors. Now, when you talk of governance, the moment local government has been an instrument of making money for the governors, and that is why they have refused to separate the local government from the state. And everything National Assembly has done to ensure that the local government, we call it autonomy of local government, to have that autonomy has failed completely, because they merge their own allocation and add it up with the local government. So it is for him to make money, local government must be under him. In fact, that office of local government and chieftaincy affairs is given to the most trusted. Even if you are even probing the governor, you are indirectly probing the commissioner for local government because they are rich. So it is yeah, exactly. So it's difficult for any governor to entrust the control of local government and chieftaincy affairs to his deputy governor. So when you talk of governance, that is if the governor has no ambition to make money, but have not seen any governor in Nigeria that goes into office without, that is the first ambition, to make money.
So can we make, because part of the call now is to rejig the constitution to one, be specific on the roles for deputy governor.
Yeah.
Just as we have the president and the vice president. You know, the vice president has his specific, responsibilities. Or is it to also make politics less attractive so that, because like you said, all this wahala between governor and deputy, it's because one deputy governor wants to succeed his principal, and the principal is saying, look, no, you can't succeed me.
Okay.
I have an anointed, and probably because the governors know the capacity and capabilities
of the deputy.
Yeah.
See, let me, in terms of rules, I have looked at it critically. It's good, they have, even Chief Ezefe in 2001, in one of his lectures, he called deputy governor spare tire. And he says that he becomes relevant when there's a problem with the tire. So and I laughed. Now, it is not a question of the constitutional draftsmen drafting, making it rigorous, providing iron cast rules for the deputy governors. It has to be back with finance. Who controls the finance of the state? The governor. You can give him roles.
And not funded.
And you don't fund it. The state thing has not given him any role. And I don't see how you can provide another budget for him elsewhere. When he is here, I doubt if he could even sign 1 million naira, approve 1 million naira. When I was in service, you see, if you are a civil servant that goes through the system to the top to become maybe a director, it's a long journey. You will have learnt this lesson that the highly esteemed deputy governor has learnt. You must have covered the duties of your principal, your leader, and others too must have covered, and you don't go beyond your
because it applies.
Yes, it applies. You learn it from the service. But some of the politicians appointed as deputy governors have not learnt. They are not really public servants who have learned the ropes. If you're a public servant who have learned the ropes, you will not go there and be challenging your boss. If you get to level 17, it means you are humble. That's number one. If you are arrogant, you will be kicked out in one way or the other.
Or stagnated.
So if you see someone complaining, then he has to ask himself, what is wrong with me? You don't contest office with your boss. Your boss is your boss. Whether he says right, he says yes, it's yes. If he says no,
it's not always the case, because there are other variables too that determine progression in civil service.
Yeah, there are other variables.
Yes.
There are other variables. But the first thing is that it is your boss. Look at Nigerian army. They fill the upper form regularly. If your GOC or your commander-in-chief says you are not good, no matter what you say. No matter which variable, even you can go to Liberia and win the war there. But if your commander, your immediate supervisor says you are not good, you are not going to face the promotion exam council. So that is it. So the learning point is from the service. But you see, most of the deputy governors that are picked, they are picked either for ethnic balancing, gender balancing, the need to win electoral values and so on. They have not gone through the training. In the book written by Ganduje himself, who was also a deputy governor, he really was sympathetic. And look at President Jonathan too, who was a humble and obedient servant, just in the same vein with our deputy governor here. He was a deputy governor to Alamesia in Bayelsa. He was a deputy president to my highly esteemed and respected late Yaradua. You can see that quietness in him. You can see that humility. He's also of the same view that deputy governors should be given roles. Yes, let us even give them roles. But what of the finance, the power of the purse?
Okay. you want to come in here? I know.
Yes. You see, the spread of the impeachments of the deputy governors, It's a technical problem from the Constitution. If you study section 188 of the Constitution, clearly it chronicles the stages you follow in impeaching a deputy governor. Now, but two provisions there are the things that are given their excellency, the governors, power over all these things to be impeaching deputy governors, and you see like 17 times the number. Subsection 10 of the section 188 says that in any process of the impeachment, the State Assembly will be the one to determine what is called misconduct.
Yes. In their opinion.
So no matter what they want, if they want to say your gorgeous dress is misconduct, it stands. And then subsection 11 of section 188 said that no court of law or any authority should challenge the procedure for your removal. So it derogates the fundamental rights of the deputy governor, for example. Supposedly if there is any feud for him to say, let me rush to the court. Especially with the political culture in the country whereby even if you get the court judgment, it will be impractical to implement against the wish of the excellency, the governor. So it is important the National Assembly will be the one to come to the rescue to make the needed.
So is there any way out other than constitution amendment? Because we all know the cost and procedure for amending our constitution.
There is some going constitution amendment.
The other way out.
I'm looking for a way outside
way
the
out.
constitution. Yes.
Or outside the constitution.
Yes.
No, there's no way outside. Like I said, it's
Because you
it's a
said
human
somebody
being.
sorry
It's a human being.
yeah, somebody just sent me a message and he said, please, I just like to read it now. She said, good morning, please, the deputy governor said it was a privilege to serve, but most deputy governors see it as a right to serve. And of course she went on to cite Edo State as a good example. So if most deputy governors do not see it as a right, but as a privilege, is there any way we can make maybe potential deputy governors, I don't know what your experience is.
You see, the political terrain in our country is different. It's not really developed. You find that the people in politics are really not the best people that need to be there. But that's the way the system goes. For me, we can change the constitution. Like I said, if you insist that the deputy governor will have a role to play, and that role is not backed with finance, then it's worth nothing. Now, how do you now say, okay, governor, you control 90% of the resources, deputy governor controls 10%? It might create a bit of a problem. Of course, for me, if you want to serve as a deputy governor, you have a good mindset. You have to be patient. You have to go in there that you're serving somebody. So to me, changing the constitution doesn't really matter. It's just a question of
The self.
the self. Who is the governor? Who are you working for? You, the deputy governor, what are you going in there for? Are you going there that you want to serve? It's a privilege for you to be a deputy governor. You want to serve. If you have that mindset, then things will work out. I had a problem with my governor, not because of, I think he knew my position, but I think when I changed parties, that really incensed them. But such is life. I had to make a political move that I needed to play national politics. I didn't want to play states because our party, ABGA, was only a one-state party. I needed to play national politics. Now the timing could have said, well, I could have waited till after my tenure as the deputy governor, but I would have been completely irrelevant coming to APC as a nobody.
Yeah. Whereas some deputy governors were impeached on what you have done.
Correct. No, he did try actually. He did try to impeach me when I did.
But there wasn't time, actually. There wasn't
no, there was not
time.
exactly. There wasn't enough time, and I don't think he didn't get the support he wanted from the House of Assembly. Because to me, politics, how you behave determines how people see you. The way you carry yourself in politics, also everybody in politics sees you. They are able to say what kind of person you are. So when you approach the House of Assembly to impeach the deputy governor, they will probably say, what for? What did this man, what has he done to deserve impeachment? He hasn't shown any ambition. He's been totally loyal to you. I said, I don't speak without saying, on behalf of my governor. It's interesting because...
And that's probably why former U.S. President Ronald Reagan said that there is no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit.
Exactly.
If you don't care who gets the credit, if you are not looking for a name for yourself, there won't be a problem with saying,
correct,
on behalf of my governor, who actually sent you.
Yes.
Victor, there are very few of your, personality.
Yes.
Very few of your personality that can accept to serve in humility.
Yes.
And say, this is a privilege to serve. So I'm just wondering, how were you selected? Were you
good point?
Yes.
Anambra, there's this religious politics that goes on. The governor is Catholic, deputy must be Anglican. The governor is Anglican, deputy must be Catholic. The first tenure, the then party chairman, Vic Chume, had selected, in fact, he had selected Uche Ekwunipe to serve as deputy. But Uche is Catholic, the governor is Catholic, so that
didn't work out.
Victor knew me and said, okay, submitted my name as the deputy governor. I didn't buy, I didn't ask, he just gave my name. So my position was foisted on the governor.
And he accepted.
He accepted. He didn't have any choice. He didn't have a choice on that one because the agreement, there was a fight between Peter Obi then and Victor May. The agreement was that Peter will bring the governor, Victor May then will bring the deputy governor. Now, the second term came, the governor now had to pick whoever he wanted. Of course, she probably saw me as I wasn't an issue, no threat to him. Why not make me,
so why not continue?
Continue. That was it. That's how I got picked the second term to run, with the governor. Now, the point I keep on saying is, if you are in politics and you want to play the game, and you want to play as a deputy governor, then have the mindset of being a servant. Have the mindset that you don't want to, your ambition must be subdued completely.
I think it's a good place for us to take a break, Victor.
And at the time, given how you emerged, I think that shows why you are, it's a privilege to serve.
Yes.
Well, let's take this break. We'll come back to discuss more about what we could do to save deputy governors. Please don't go away. All right, to welcome you back. This is still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA as we hit the home stretch discussing the place of deputy governors in Nigerian democracy, politics, if you like. But let me ask Menasara Kogomar, now we are looking for solutions. Is it possible to... It's not like there was no constitutional specification. Well, it just wasn't anything tangible. So is it possible to create bigger roles for the deputy governor and then create a path to fund the role?
Theoretically, it's possible, but practically it's very difficult. Because under the Constitution, sections 8 and 9, that talks about constitutional amendments, the tradition is that anything that will impede on those areas the governors are interested, they will deliberately use their technical control over the state legislature to thwart it. And you cannot succeed until you have 2/3 of the states in Nigeria, that is 24 states, in support of anything before National Assembly can effect any constitutional amendment. And you cannot effect anything now. That is the reason why even the local government matter my brother is talking about proves difficult to be implemented. Once the governor is not interested in something, the state assembly normally will not give the nod of approval or otherwise until they find out the directional compass of the governor's interest. So that is the difficult area. It's just like the National Assembly members, if you want to bring about any constitutional amendment that has to do with either the type of money they are getting, or you want to make it unicameral, or you want to make it part-time, or you want to abolish constituency projects or anything. They are the ones having the knife and the bread. Definitely they will not So like we said, myself and His Excellency, that the political culture in Nigeria is that of self-development, and that is the impediment. So it will be very, very difficult. Attempts can be made. Everybody will really see rationality in the need to give Their Excellency Deputy Governors constitutional powers. But that is paradoxical, because in the real practical sense of it, it will be very difficult for it to scale through by the constitutional processes based on the culture that we are seeing with the National Assembly and the state assemblies.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me stir the water a little to see if probably we can get, 7 deputy governors and potential ones can also learn from you, because someone just sent me a text to ask for your view about the way and manner that the Edo, former deputy governor now, Shuaibu, had played, his own part. True, according to this test, Shuaibu had played a very prominent role in the ascendance and even second tenure of the incumbent governor of Edo State. So what did you do wrong, and where did you go wrong?
It's simple. The ambition to be governor. That's really it. Because I know personally they had a good relationship. The governor gave him a lot of work to do. He was out there. He was very visible. And he showed that he had the capacity to perform. And to me, just that singular act of wanting to be governor, when the governor already had somebody, another choice, created a problem. The only way I fault Shuaibu was, I used to have a professor in school that said, if he gives you a problem to do, and you start working the problem out, and you make a mistake, don't change the process to try to get to the answer. Continue on your path to that end. Even if you get the wrong answer, you will get points just because of your consistency. You should have been consistent. Don't come out and say, I want to be governor, and then you go back and apologize to the governor. No. Continue your fight. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. Don't go back and say, okay, I'm back. I don't want to fight. And
as in Ondo?
Yes. And then you start again to pursue your ambition. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. If the way the system works, if your governor says you will not be governor, you will not. The way it's set, the way the system works right now, if your governor is against you, that's it.
But not in every case.
Most cases,
not in every case.
Hold on, I know the only case that worked was in Ebonyi. I know it worked in Ebonyi because Lechi didn't want Umahi to become governor. But Umahi had some serious backing. Everything is about funding. Everything is about funding.
It's money.
Umahi had cash.
Delta, the immediate past. If Delta was same.
Yes, if you have money, if the governor backs you with money, then you're good. But how many people outside the governor will have
support you?
Yes, that will have that support and the money, resources, and be able to support you. No, you don't. It's not easy.
Okay.
Like I said, I gave you the example of Umahi. It's a good example of that happening from outside.
Okay,
right.
I wanted Dr. Mike Ajayi. You have a question?
Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted Dr. Ajayi. We're looking for solutions now, and it's obvious that our system of government has forced this on us. And some legislators have come now to say, look, why don't we look at the parliamentary system? Could that resolve this whole Ruhala?
Well, the parliamentary system, no, you are talking of the British model.
Yes.
Not necessarily, because the sponsor of that bill says we could tailor it to suit the Nigerian system.
Okay, well, both of them will be in the assembly, and maybe they will be able to defend, speak. But I don't even see that as a solution. At the commencement of this program, I gave you the views of Shakespeare. I gave you the views of Chief Obasanjo, President Obasanjo, that the problem is not in the system, but the operators of the system. And also, the same views by even President Jonathan, every one of them has espoused this view. It is not even if you put that parliamentary system, there's still going to be a problem. It is having that attitude that he has, that has made him a success. And my esteemed doctor here said that you have to be like a fool. You must recognize that there are two captains cannot be in one boat. There must be a senior prefect and a deputy senior prefect. Once you recognize the position of your governor, you really don't have much clash. He has said it. Don't be interested in the finances of the state.
You can be interested without showing it.
No, don't be. See,
Don't be
and the structure.
interested.
These are solutions.
No.
You see,
Please go ahead.
you know, the constitution cannot contain everything. It cannot.
Some will be wisdom.
You know, yeah, you have to go. They call it in political science. I'm sorry, I can't get that word now. You have to go beyond the constitution to be able to operate successfully. So, because it's impossible for the drafters of the constitution to capture everything, because they are writing for, they are going to use the experience, your historical experiences of other countries to craft your constitution. So, in doing that, they cannot put everything in the constitution. You have to put interpersonal relationship as a factor to have a symmetry of relationship. So, the constitution, crafting constitution does not solve the problem. What I would suggest is, some of them needs to undergo some sort of training, understanding the new terrain where they are finding themselves.
Maybe they also need to learn the Sun Tzu tactics.
Exactly. Sun Tzu. You have to learn Sun Tzu's tactics for a success. And that is why he succeeded in the military expedition he had. So you need to have that kind of... He is a model for me. You see, I really commend... when you are seeing a participant in the politics of Nigeria, he's a model, and he should be invited as a speaker to conferences of deputy speakers, so that they can learn from him. You cannot be garrulous to your leader. So if you are talking of roads, when I was even looking at, I said, look, do we give because you mentioned section 188, that is the impeachment of deputy governors, makes it so easy. I said, no, because it is in their own opinion, whatever they call misconduct, gross misconduct, that amount in their own opinion. Your friend, I'm sure it must be your friend, is Madumure of Imo State. He was said, in one of the allegations, they said he ran a pottery in his house, as if it's a crime. The secondly, they said he was asked to attend a state function, and he didn't go, but he produced a video evidence to the panel that he had attended. They said where he sat was inappropriate. So when you are looking at the kind of devils you are dealing with in politics, there's nothing you cannot write everything. The 10 commandments is very clear. It's 10.
What about tail bearers? Party supporter tail bearers. Who go?
They are all products of the same political culture. For example, if you take the case of Shaibu, the whole procedure was within 48 hours. He sent a lawyer there. The lawyer there went with a court injunction that we have court injunction to restrain your processes. They quickly refer him to section 188 and said that no court or authority or whatever can challenge any of the thing we are doing, and that we have the right to determine whatever is misconduct. You understand? The only time when such effort was challenged, but the implementation of the victory became difficult, was the deputy governor to Rochas Okorocha. That was the only time. So the problem has to do with it is attitudinal.
Yes.
Generally, whether you bring parliamentary or whatever, no. The problem we have are the attitudes of two principal officers of Nigeria's democracy: Their Excellencies governors and the parliamentarians. The quality of these two you are having, the disposition of nationalism, patriotism, understanding the tenets of the Constitution, especially sections 221 to 227 that talks about operational discipline of politicians. Once these things are not understood by the governors or deliberately blindfolded by the legislatures, you cannot get democracy right. Whether you bring it monarchy or whether you bring parliamentary, it is not the issue. The issue is attitudinal disposition of the operators. And the operators, if you look at it carefully now, the way they are running the system, every governor thinks he is an emperor. Even if there is a symbiotic something that will permeate, because it is expected that when there is a presidential order, for example, the case of Buhari, when he gave presidential order, what do you call it, executive order. Some of the governors even went to the court and challenged it. They refused to implement it. So if we want these things to succeed, if you want democracy of Nigeria to be corrected, there is a very important office that should be reinvigorated. Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. That office is supposed to be the democratic engine room of Nigeria's governance. Before 1985, it used to be called Office of the Secretary to the Federal Government. Federal government means government at the federal level. But government of the federation means you must be in touch with the states, you must be in touch with the local government, you must be in touch with some ethnic interests. By the time you are bringing any policy at the federal level, get in touch with all these people, get their input, then the policy will cascade, and at the end of it, it will permeate down to the grassroots. But once you didn't get into bring these people on board, as the secretary to the government of the federation, you should be in constant touch with the secretaries to the state government. Inform their excellencies. This is the thing in the pipeline. They should bring their input, suggestions, or representations. So that at the end of it, we will see a harmonious type of governmental operations in this country in the interest of national development, national cohesion, and democracy will be rooted there. So that if it is agreed at that level, states are having interest, local governments, other interested people in the federation, yes, we want this thing, this thing, this thing, then it will be easy for the National Assembly to pass it. And it will succeed ultimately. And at the end of it, the dividends of that intention will be beneficial to the citizenry and democracy will flourish. So it is not so much the distance. That brain box office should really be reinvigorated so that coordination and congenial working relationship, federal, state, and local government will be improved. By the time these things are improved, by the time relationship between executive, legislature, and the judiciary are improved, you understand, we will be able to now see Nigeria's democracy enriched.
Okay.
And at the end of it, everybody will be seemingly satisfied.
All right, thank you, Minister Akugo. Let me get back to Dr. Nkem Okeke. We seem to have agreed by postulations from each and every one that it will be difficult to create a constitutional, change, a constitutional role for deputy governors because of the issues of funding and all whatnot. But what about a democratic culture? Because it boils down now to the persons involved. The kind of person the governor is, the kind of person the deputy governor is. You survived 8 years because, permit me to say, you are tailor-made for the office of the deputy governor. Well, some are not. Some can't rein in their ambitions or, work with the governor. So is this possible that we have a kind of democratic, institutionalized a culture, some way where we can begin to talk to ourselves and be able to learn as humans to do it better?
You're even finding it difficult to
I've actually really tried to reason the Nigerian problem. And I keep on telling people, whenever I sit down and discuss with friends, I always say, we are not any different from people from United States or United Kingdom. The same human beings who have the capacity to commit all sorts of crimes. You may say people commit big crimes, little crimes, people cheat on their taxes and all that. The problem we have in our country is accountability. People are not held accountable for their actions or inaction. I look at just a simple situation. You're a traveler, go to Murtala Mohammed Airport, and you see the madness going on there. People jumping queues, whatever.
Okay, that's right.
But that plane takes off, that aircraft, and it lands in the UK or in the US. You see the same human beings behaving themselves. They're standing in line, they're following the process. Just 6 hours. So you ask yourself, what's going on? What's the mindset? You realize that it's our country. It's here. I believe I can get away with murder. I believe I can do whatever I want and get away with it. People go into governance and they steal money. They steal more money that they don't need, because you can only sleep on one bed, you can only live in one house, you can only drive one car at a time. But the idea is stealing exceedingly is, I need to settle EFCC when the time comes. I need to settle police when the time comes.
So you amass all of those.
You amass all the wealth. Now, if we are not able to make people accountable for their actions, then it will be very difficult for us to really move in the right direction. We talk about making politics, make it not to enrich yourself. That's where sometimes I think about a parliamentary system, where you have to have a job. You have to have a permanent job you do. You come to Abuja maybe every quarter to pass laws, and then you go back to your job. You're given an allowance, maybe the amount of money you're given to house you, to fly you, to feed you during that time. And that's all you get. Yeah. Now, of course, it's going to be difficult to do, but to me, it's a way of saving the country money. I keep on wondering who will come in and say, listen, let's fix our judiciary. Let's make it difficult for people to steal and get away with it. If we don't do that, it's going to be difficult for us to change the mindset. Because corruption is not just on the top. It permeates all the way down to the small man. I was a deputy governor. I know. I have staff that weren't interested in working. I approve for them to go and buy a Samsung AC, for instance. They go in and buy Polystar because it's cheaper. That's not what I paid for. That's not what I approved. But as a deputy governor, I'm not going to go to the market to buy ACs. No, that's not my job. My job is just to approve. But they want to go and steal because nobody will ask. Nobody cares.
And that's the culture of politics that we play.
That's the same thing. It's the same human beings.
It's okay. We have just
we probably need behavioral
change. That's going to be a long-term process.
But it begins again with the politicians.
Because no, they can't. They're the ones that are supposed to change. But they're the ones that are supposed to change. How are they going to change? Somebody else needs to say, no, you must behave. You must behave, you must comport yourself in this manner if you find yourself in a position. How do we do that? I don't know. I keep on asking, maybe the historians will look in the history.
How did you do your own? How did you do that?
I came in with office. It was innate.
Mindset.
I have a family. My father said, don't go in the government. My father worked for NEPA. Then for that
and that's why we brought you for this conversation, so that you can be
it's a mindset. But you see, it doesn't mean that I am perfect. If you get stopped on the street and a policeman stops you to produce your papers and give that man 1,000 naira, you're part of the corruption process. The point I'm saying is that we must create opportunity where people, when you steal, you get into trouble.
Okay.
You behave.
All right, Dr. Nkemokeke, thank you very much.
We have barely a minute and a half, so just take a minute. Take a minute.
The solution is what is still called ethical revolution.
Okay.
You know, in preparation towards the Third Republic that time, Babangida constituted what they call MAMSA. So Jerry Ghana, Professor Tunde Adelero came out with that. Political education, reorientation. That is what you need.
Anyway,
all right.
Yes.
Final words.
You see, generally, whether politicians or civil servants, Section 15, subsection 5 of the Constitution has taken care of that. It says that the state must fight all forms of corrupt practices and abuse of office. And there is an institution established by the Constitution which clearly should be the one to be up and doing to sanitize the system, which is the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nasara Kogo Umar, constitutional lawyer and international analyst on democracy and nation building. We thank you very much for your time and thoughts on the program.
Thank you.
Well, same amount of thanks to Chief Michael Ajayi, public affairs analyst. It's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank
and
you,
Dr. Nkebo Okeke, former Deputy Governor, tailor-made for the office. We thank you very much.
His Excellency.
Your Excellency, for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Maybe governors now should be going to Anambra State
To learn.
You
need to create a school where
That's
you
Good
teach.
Morning Nigeria for today. We thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
All right, I'm Victor Azu. We'll see you again tomorrow.